The last comment I got from the studio from George was good luck, because the session was just insane. I mean, it's some insane amount of tracks, and it wasn't my session. It was all over the place, and as I kind of worked my way through it, and then I really got to your parts. It was like, okay, well, this is incredible. Like, this really, because SkyQuaker Steve, he kind of said, like, I want to put saxophone in it, and at first I didn't know where he was coming from. I couldn't sort of. I was like, look, just go and do it, and let's have a listen to it. And I got it back. I was like, yep. Yeah, that was a good move. That was like the way forward. But I mean, how did that come about? How did that conversation with Steve come about?
Yeah, so it was quite a coincidence because I work at a recording studio as a videographer, like videoing bands and then editing their music videos. And I was just at the studio one day, and I think it was just after I'd finished filming a singer, and the phone rang. So I answered, and it was Stephen, and he was just asking on the off chance if we knew of any sax players. And I was like, oh, it's a bit random, but weirdly, you're actually talking to one. So we got chatting for, it's probably about a good hour, actually. And he was just like,
Sounds
I'd love
right.
you. Yeah. So I'd love you to come and play some sax on our latest track. So, of course, I said yes, and it just kind of went from there, really.
Incredible. I mean, it works so well. And I know it was kind of telling you to really be experimental with it, and kind of that real syncopated like the performance that you gave to the track. It just works so well. And a little secret that I don't think anyone actually knows about this except me and Steve, but during the mix it became quite a contentious subject, because there's one part kind of towards the end of the track where Ben, who's done so many guitar solos, it was just insane. And I was kind of like riding you up in terms of the volume, and then it's like, and Ben was sort of following you.
Yeah, we managed to incline it.
It's like, and I thought, how do I treat this? Because I wanted you guys to almost move together, if that makes sense. Like, so it ended up being a whole thing with putting all these mixing stuff. So I kind of threw an echo of you over to the left speaker, and then put parts of Ben's over to the right, and it was like, I'm not losing Tilly's sax.
I'm keeping this, basically.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Incredible. So, I mean, would you say that was kind of, I mean, I suppose, how do you think it works from your perspective of working with bands? I mean, obviously that was an invite to come down and record. Did he kind of send you the song, or was it a case of just turn up and go?
It does vary. I do usually like to have a little listen of the song before I turn up to just play it. So I did ask for Stephen to send me that track. So I kind of knew like what I was expecting it to sound like. But I just mean by the end of that track, and after I'd heard everything mixed together, because I think I was one of the first on it maybe, but I just, by the end mix just sounded so different. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, it just sounds so nice. Everything's come together. And yeah, no, I just thought it was a really cool track to be part of.
Thank you. I spent about 30 hours, I reckon, in that session. So I'm glad you were happy with it. That's always good to hear. And then, of course, to hear, because there was another conversation when we went back to do Thank God for Rock and Roll, which came out last month, and it was like, should we get Talisa back? And to which I was like, yes, we should get Talisa back. So and yet again, it's just it works really well, I think, for their sound, because they really are kind of like, you think they're just a rock band, SkyQuaker, but the more you delve, it's like, oh, okay, they're a lot more than just a rock band kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with being just a rock band. I love rock, but like, there's a lot going on under the surface there. And I think it just, thanks so much for helping Steve and the guys out, because it really did bring those tracks to life.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed doing it. It was a bit different to what I usually do, but I actually quite enjoyed the challenge of it. I mean, Stephen's just great. Like, he has all these ideas and he just like shouts them all at you, like, try this, try that. And you're in this studio booth like, yeah, okay, let's just see where I go with this take. So, I mean, you do end up with so many takes. Like, as you said, the whole tracks, there was thousands of them. But no, it was really fun. It was just a bit of a challenge, but I did really enjoy that.
It's good to hear. Steve is definitely a ball of energy.
I love it.
He's absolutely a ball of energy. I love the guy. I would say, which leads me on nicely again. So, because you mentioned it, which I like. So, in terms of like genres, because I know you've covered so many genres. I can just tell it from. Obviously, we'll come on to talk about the clap for the NHS that you did. But there were so many different styles that you threw into that. And if we all stuck at home, I was tuning in. I thought it was great. It was a real sort of, it was a real like noteworthy thing to do, and good of you to do it. Do you think that you've got almost because I suppose me being a composer, I get chucked around a lot as well, and sometimes I'm a bit like, oh, this is a bit out of my comfort zone, or I quite like this, but I've got like a home, I suppose, which to be honest is probably strings, atmospheres, and piano. To be honest, is probably like my home place. Do you have almost like a home in terms of sax, or are you just throw it at me?
I think so. I just like playing so many different genres, which I think is quite an important part to be as a session sax. Like, you need to be pretty versatile. Like, you can't just pick and choose what you want to specialise in as such. But I say I do really enjoy playing jazz, which is great. Like, I've played quite a lot of jazz in the past 10 years, which has always been really fun, and you can get some really good like different sounds coming out of your sax with jazz. But equally, I do also quite enjoy pop, which I think was what got me keeping going in the saxophone during school, because I did like doing the grades, but I also liked playing songs that I actually knew. So I kind of always would turn up to my lessons like, right, I want to learn this song. I heard it on the radio. I was like, I'm going to make a sax part for it. So can we do this instead of my grade? I think the pop definitely was a big impact on that. I could play pop songs on the saxophone, which kind of kept me going through it. And like from that, I've really enjoyed from this lockdown and a bit of last year, starting to learn some club mixes. So, I think I just like so many different genres. I wouldn't say I have a complete home genre yet, but I couldn't tell you a genre that I don't really like.
It's a true music lover, absolutely. It gets like that, doesn't it? It's like you sort of like take a little bit of everything. But I must admit, I do hear you with the jazz. I don't know why I haven't been back. I could be in the West End in like 15 minutes, and it's like, why don't I go down there, kind of thing, But I must admit that I think that's where a lot of the real experimentation, all the rasps and the sort of the bends and the really starts coming through in jazz, and it's kind of almost like, and I suppose the improv of it as well, right? Like, you never know with jazz what you're gonna get.
Yeah. No, I think that's what I like about jazz so much, like, and especially performing it, because usually I play quite a couple of like Sunday lunch jazz style gigs, and obviously I rehearse all my songs, but when I kind of perform it, all my improvisation just like slightly different to what I've rehearsed, which I love it because it can just go any way each time I play it. Like, I never have a set like improvisational 8 bars. It just kind of comes and something different will happen each time. It always works out, and it's just really nice to explore all the different notes and, as you said, riffs and rasps and everything on the sax in jazz, because you can just go down so many different routes, and just through performing it you get a bit of like energy and it just all comes out really well.